So that way, everyone who can't make it today can still check out the video. I'm going to minimize y'all's little beautiful faces so it doesn't show in the recording. Like it doesn't cover the words, because I made that mistake before. All right, reducing inflammation. So remember, like, just like as we go through these slides, I want you to connect to certain lifestyle pieces that you can make action steps towards, and just pick like one or two things. It doesn't have to be, you know, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this, because there's always things, there's things I can do to reduce inflammation. You know, we can always improve our lifestyle choices. So first of all, let's talk about what is inflammation. So when your body activates your immune system, it sends out inflammatory cells. These cells attack bacteria or can heal damaged tissue. So inflammation in some cases is very purposeful and actually important. It has a job to do. But if your body sends out inflammatory cells when you're not sick or injured, you may have chronic inflammation. So this low-grade inflammation is a chronic response to disease, injuries, toxins, foreign invaders, et cetera, that produces a steady low level of inflammation constantly throughout the day. So this isn't like, oh, you like, you know, you sprain your ankle and it's gonna have it send inflammation, create inflammation to try to heal, right? That's like temporary acute inflammation. I think what most of us deal with is this lower grade chronic inflammation. So again, while acute inflammatory response is beneficial to your body's healing processes, a long-term chronic inflammatory response is going to leave your immune system exhausted. So it may actually take longer for your body to react to real threats while it's trying to fight off smaller threats it perceives. So there's this whole analogy I think I've probably given some of you, but I'm going to say it again because I absolutely love it. And you can think of your biggest health issue. So that could be an autoimmune condition, that could be anxiety, that could be insomnia, that could be fatigue, you know, whatever your biggest health issue is. And all these little inflammatory sources that are spiking that low-grade chronic inflammation in your body, it's like the impulse buys at the checkout at the grocery store. And think of your big health condition or your biggest symptomatic health issue as a maxed out credit card. Okay, so as long as you're continuing to buy those impulse buys at the grocery store, your body can't deal with that maxed out credit cards, right? So one of the ways you can up level and quicken your healing process is to reduce other sources of this inflammation. Also, then by producing inflammation constantly, your body's actually damaging itself in an ongoing manner. So, excuse me, I just swallowed water or spit really weird. So what does inflammation feel like? So as I go through this list, I want you to pop in the chat like the symptom or the feeling that you tend to experience the most when you're inflamed. So we've got body pain, constant fatigue, insomnia, depression or anxiety, brain fog, pain and swelling, headaches, inability to lose weight, weakened immune system. So pop in the chat which of these symptoms, like when you're inflamed, what are the symptoms that you feel in your body? Let's see. Kristen says skin rashes. Ooh, that's a good one. Jody says headaches, insomnia, gut pain. Yeah, it can look different for everybody. For me, I would say it's like joint swelling and joint pain, and headaches too, and insomnia. I mean, I get them all, but all whiny, so it's okay. Fatigue, that's a huge one for sure. I mean, that's when so I know for me personally, gluten is a massive trigger for inflammation in my body. And I can tell if I accidentally get gluten, it's like my life is over for days because I feel so terrible. So when you think about inflammatory processes, this low-grade chronic inflammation, you know, I want you to start connecting some of these symptoms to inflammatory sources, okay? All right. So let's look at some sources of inflammation. There's lots of possibilities. So we obviously have food sensitivities. Gluten and dairy would be the kind of my top two typical major offenders here. We have infections. So that's bacteria, parasites, mold, yeast, or candida. We have toxicities. That could be endotoxins from gut bugs, mycotoxins from mold, environmental toxins, pesticides, heavy metals. Sugar is a huge source of inflammation in the body. Trans fats and hydrogenated oils are also really big here. So let's take each of these piece by piece. So gluten and dairy are typically what in the kind of holistic community we would consider to be the most inflammatory foods in the diet besides sugar, but we're going to give sugar its own category. And gluten really increases intestinal permeability or leaky gut in everyone, regardless of whether someone has a gluten sensitivity or celiac. So gluten just pokes little holes in your mucosal barrier over and over and over, and it can be one of the biggest triggers for causing leaky gut. So a lot of food sensitivities are what we would consider to be downstream from leaky gut. You have the food sensitivities because you have that intestinal permeability, but gluten is one of these things that can actually create the damage in your gut to open up that intestinal permeability. So after gluten, dairy is the next most inflammatory food. So many people have allergies or sensitivities to dairy proteins, but don't even realize it. So even the best quality organic grass-fed dairy also contains naturally occurring hormones that can be problematic for some people. So especially if you have like skin issues such as acne. So pop a 1 in the chat if you know that gluten spikes inflammation for you. Pop a 2 in the chat if you know that dairy spikes inflammation for you, and pop a 1 and a 2 if you know that both of them spike inflammation for you. So I'm gonna share mine here. So I'm a 1-2er for sure. All right, Kristen's a 1 and 2. Katrina says 1, not sure about 2. Jody thinks 2. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about infections. So GI pathogens are a significant and extremely common cause of internal hidden stressors in the body, which is why we do the GI map. We love that lab. So parasites and other pathogenic or dysbiotic organisms can often provoke a chronic low-grade inflammatory response. You know, we're talking bacteria, we're talking parasites, we're talking mold, we're talking candida here. So if you have, I know like Kristen, you've already kind of experienced eradicating some of these things in your body. So if you, Kristen in the chat, did you feel, can you like share with us if how much better you have felt when you've ridded yourself of some of these organisms? I know that Jody, we get to talk tomorrow, Jody, about your GI map. Katrina's still waiting on hers. But I know that, you know, Kristen's had some issues or some progress there. So Kristen says, I used to get sick every month. Now I don't really get sick at all. Yeah, because your immune system, again, your immune system now has the capacity, Kristen, to attack the germs that were making you sick, right? Instead of dealing with the chronic low-grade inflammation from these bugs, you know, you weren't able to pay off that max credit card, right? Like you were just buying, your body was just impulse buying, you know, with the immune system. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Toxins are huge sources of inflammation. So we've got endotoxins from gut bugs. So that's, those are called lipopolysaccharides. We have mycotoxins from mold. We've got environmental toxins. So again, this comes from the majority of like cleaning products and personal care products. These contain chemicals known to be carcinogenic, neurotoxic, and endocrine disruptors. So the cleaner you can make your personal care products and the cleaner you can make your cleaning products, the less inflamed you're going to be. These environmental toxins are also huge sources of triggers for hormonal disruption and hormonal imbalances in the body as well. Pesticides, also huge here. So non-organic produce is sprayed with endocrine disrupting chemicals and pesticides. So it's really important to check out from the environmental working group, check out that Dirty Dozen list. That's going to give you the top 12, every year they do it, the top 12 types of produce that farmers or producers use the most toxins on, so the most pesticides, right, or herbicides. And then there's the list of the Clean 15, which is the top 15 produce items that are typically the least amount of toxins are used on those. So again, these pesticides, they can like literally kill your good guys in your gut to create dysbiosis in your gut. They can disrupt your hormones. So many things these pesticides can do. And then of course we have heavy metals. I know multiple of you are doing the HTMA to try to get rid of those heavy metals in the body. Heavy metals can disrupt so many things: neurological function, thyroid function. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. It can impact your mood. It can impact sleep. It can impact everything. So, you know, the more you can check these toxins off the list, the better you're going to feel, the less inflamed your body is going to be. So, and again, don't let this list overwhelm you. You know, start with, we're going to get those gut bugs. We're going to get those heavy metals, you know, start buying, like, choose like one type of produce from the Dirty Dozen to start buying organic, right? Like pick one cleaning product, like your counter spray or your laundry soap. Pick one personal care product, like your shampoo or your toothpaste. Pick one, okay? Don't let this list overwhelm you, but pick one to change. Get in that really great habit of that change, and then pick another one. So I know that all of you are gonna, you know, working on your gut, working on the, you know, HTMA and heavy metals, things like that. So, and then, for these environmental toxins, I want you to tell me what one cleaning product and what one personal care product you want to kind of dive into. Like, oh, I want to go read the label on that, or oh, I think I could probably use a cleaner version of this. So tell me in the chat one cleaning product and one personal care product that you want to dive into for yourself personally, and check out that label, check out the ingredients, and see what kind of shifts you can make. Let's see. Kristen says, one of the easiest changes I made was switching all of our cleaning products to Branch Basics. It's been 2 years and I'm still really happy with it. That's awesome. I've not heard of that brand. Do you get it online, or do you get it, Kristen, is that something you buy at your local store? There's really so many great clean products out there now. And I haven't heard of all of them yet. More and more companies are coming up with clean ingredients, and it's super exciting because, you know, 10 years ago, there really wasn't as many options, or like you would have to make it yourself. Let's see, branchbasics.com. Awesome, Kristen. Thank you for sharing. They have a great website. And Kristen says, moisturizers, great. Jody says detergent and body wash. Yes, body wash and detergent can have so many endocrine disruptors, Jody. And yeah, those are two great places to start. So Katrina says slipper pads and toothpaste. Yeah, you know, one of the things that's going all over your floor, so it's going to be all over your house, right, Katrina? And then of course, toothpaste you're putting in your mouth. So that was so good and so smart and so amazing. Very good, very good. All right, sugar. Okay, drop a 1 in the chat if you have in the past dealt with sugar cravings and they're better now, or drop a 2 in the chat if you're still having sugar cravings and it's still just part of your journey. Jody says, or Kristen says 1. Jody, so Kristen, it was more in the past. Jody says 2. Katrina has 2. Okay, so and I want you to notice too here. Kristen says it's more of a past situation. Kristen's also done a lot of work on her gut, like with GI map results and things like that. So Jody and Katrina, it's so cool to see. Oftentimes, as we clean up our gut, as we start absorbing our protein better, as we get rid of those dysbiotic organisms, oftentimes our sugar cravings dissipate, because those organisms, those pathogenic bacteria or whatever you may have, they talk to your brain. They want to survive and thrive. So they're telling your brain through the gut-brain axis, eat sugar, feed me sugar, eat sugar, feed me sugar. So oftentimes when you kick those guys to the curb, your sugar cravings get a lot better. And as you work through balancing blood sugar, your sugar cravings get better too. So look at this. Refined sugar feeds pathogenic organisms in the gut and encourages yeast such as Candida to overgrow. Candida is exceptionally indicated in fatigue and headaches. It can cause very similar symptoms of a hangover because both Candida and alcohol produce the toxin called acetaldehyde. So if you have Candida and you feel like kind of just a lot, it could be that. Also, when we think about sugar, we have to consider the idea of artificial sweeteners. So that's like think like aspartame or sucralose. So artificial sweeteners contain toxic chemicals and can destroy beneficial, oh, that's a hard word today, beneficial bacteria in the gut. So when you're drinking your Diet Coke, know that you're killing your good guys. Okay. And I'm not saying that, I'm saying it to kind of be cheeky, like die, good guys die. But sometimes, you know, we ingest things without really thinking about the impact. So those artificial sweeteners are not only toxic to your brain and your body, but they're literally killing off the good guys in your gut. Okay. Also, corn syrup spikes neuroinflammation. So what do we use instead? So use natural, less refined sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, dates, coconut sugar, stevia, monk fruit, xylitol, and erythritol. So I love baking with monk fruit, and sometimes I bake with like a monk fruit erythritol combination. Has anyone had, you know, a decent amount of success using some of these less refined sweeteners, more natural sweeteners in baking or in your foods? Like, what do you enjoy the most? I love the flavor of maple syrup, but it doesn't always go good with some things. So I like, this morning I made banana muffins for the kids, gluten-free banana muffins with monk fruit powder. And you can get that pretty cheap at Costco too. So Kristen says, so drop in the chat what you like to use, or if you haven't really taken advantage of some of these less refined sugars, you know, which one of these do you feel like you want to try? Let's see, Kristen says, I love maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, dates are delicious in smoothies. I recently found an Arnold Palmer drink with monk fruit and it's pretty tasty. Very good. Yeah. Dates are super good in a lot of things. I use dates when I use my almond cow to make my coffee creamer. So dates are super, super good. Jody says, I haven't used any of these. Coconut sugar taste sounds tasty. It is. Coconut sugar is super tasty, Jody. And you should be able to find it at your local grocery store. You know, the nice thing about right now, this season of this year that we're living in, is a lot of this stuff like coconut sugar maybe, or monk fruit, it wasn't available, you know, in just general grocery store aisles in the baking section. You had to go to a specialty store or Whole Foods or something like that. But now it's really they're common ingredients found in your baking aisle, which just makes it easier to utilize some of these things. So how are these kinds of sugars different than the sugar found in fruit? So for example, the naturally occurring sugar found in a banana, which is bonded with cancer-fighting antioxidants, phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals, cannot be considered equivalent to the sugar in a candy bar. And let's just say, okay, a banana versus a candy bar. Let's just hypothetically say that they have the same exact sugar content. You know, it's not just about, you know, does it have sugar, does it not have sugar? You have to consider the types of sugar and the other benefits in whatever product we're talking about here. So that banana or that apple or that pear or whatever you're eating fruit-wise is going to have so many important nutrients in it. Now, it's still like a sugary thing as far as spiking blood sugar. So I always encourage you, if you're going to have a piece of fruit, which I love fruit, fruit is definitely on the table at my house, pair it with a protein. So like for my lunch was homemade chicken salad with a pear, right? So always make sure that you are pairing your fruit with a protein so it doesn't spike your blood sugar. All right. Speaking of, real quick, what is everyone's favorite fruit? Drop that in the chat. I feel like mine is a very grape perfect peach. Let's see, Kristen says nectarines. Jody says mango. Right there with you, Katrina. A peach. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, so good. It's my fave. Okay, like random bit of info, but I was just curious. Okay, let's talk about trans fats and hydrogenated oils. So most vegetable oils found on grocery store shelves come from genetically modified plants. So that's soy, corn, canola, and cotton seed. So these polyunsaturated fats go rancid very quickly and become toxic and inflammatory to the body. So also these oils typically are extracted by the use of toxic solvents such as hexane, or they may be hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, which contains or creates trans fats. So trans fats and hydrogenated oils raise cholesterol and blood sugar. They promote weight gain. They prevent the immune system from functioning optimally, and they increase the risk of heart disease, breast cancer, and prostate cancer. So trans fats, hydrogenated oils, not your friend. So what do we eat instead? So include healthy fats such as grass-fed beef, olive oil, avocados, olives, avocado oil, coconut oil, nuts, and seeds. These are also all really high quality sources of fats that your body needs. And remember, a low fat diet is a low hormone diet. It's a low brain function diet. We need healthy fats. Fat is not the enemy here. Sugar is the enemy. And so, you know, get yourself some healthy fats. They're going to help you think. They're going to help you create hormones. And they're going to keep you satisfied longer. So if you're eating low fat, you're going to get hungry a lot more. So including a healthy fat in what you eat is one of the hacks that I recommend for stabilizing your blood sugar. What's everyone's favorite healthy fat to use in your cooking? I typically like use avocado oil for cooking, and I love snacking on like olives, nuts, and seeds. Like when I'm just kind of like wanting a little snacky snack. Let's see, Katrina says olives and avocado. Delicious, delicious, delicious. And now my grocery store even sells those little packets of olives they can like keep in your purse. So when you like need a little snack on the road, they're super yummy. There's one I like that's like rosemary and basil or something, like kind of Italian herb. So super good. Jody loves olive oil. Very nice. Let's see. Oh, and then Kristen says olive oil for cooking. Be careful about using olive oil with super high heat. It's probably better to use more of like an avocado oil for that because it has a higher smoke point. But olive oil is so good for you. Okay, so what do we do? We take all this information. Now, what do we do about it? So work on transitioning to an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay, so you know, an anti-inflammatory diet isn't just about taking things out. It can be adding things in. So, you know, high oxidant foods like the antioxidant foods like berries can be a great source of nutrients and antioxidants in your diet. You know, gluten, dairy, sugar, trans fats, and hydrogenated oils. Start with one. Pick one category to try to work on transitioning that stuff out of your diet. Get really good at that. Then pick another category. You know, getting healthy isn't just about this program that you're in. It's a lifelong journey. So make a list, keep a journal, right? Okay, right now I'm going to choose to stop ingesting trans fats or gluten or sugar or whatever, or like refined sugar, I guess. I mean, I'm not anti like sweets, just refined sugar is not going to do anyone any favors. So choose a type of food to reduce your intake or eliminate intake. So does anyone want to share in the chat which food they're going to kind of focus on for the next month or so as far as transitioning that out of your diet? I'm going to work on sugar. I don't really eat a lot of sugar, but then every time there's like an event, so like Father's Day, I had some gluten-free brownies and, you know, it totally triggered my Lyme. And so I felt terrible from the sugar. And it's not something I really crave, but it's like they were there and I was like, oh, I should have one of these, which was really just like, I don't know. It was dumb. I need to be more just, you know, using my brain to like tell myself like, okay, that looks delicious, but like, do you really want it? And when I think about how it's going to make me feel, yeah, it's not a smart choice for me. Sugar is one of the biggest things that triggers a flare up for me. So Jody says, sugar, today is my first day without my sugar in my daily coffee. Good girl, Jody. Yes, ma'am. I can do coffee without sugar. I cannot do coffee without a creamer. Like I need my white stuff in my coffee. Like I don't know how people drink black coffee. You're like enigmas, whoever you are. So good job. And that's a huge source. And here's the thing, Jody. Most people obviously drink coffee in the morning. Decreasing the amount of sugar you have in the morning is going to set your body up to become a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. It's going to help stabilize your blood sugar throughout the day. So again, I do eat fruit. I do eat, you know, things like that, but I try to save it for lunchtime and beyond because I want to tell my body it is safe and feed it, you know, healthy fats, fiber, and proteins in the morning to basically set my blood sugar levels and to set my fuel source for the day. So good job, Jody. Kristen says unhealthy oils. Kristen, is there like a specific food item or specific oil that you feel like you're targeting, or just unhealthy oils in general? And then Katrina, I know you're at work, so if you can pop in the chat at all, tell us what kind of food you want to focus on, or you can just message me later too, if that's easier. All right, so also eat the rainbow of colorful fruits and vegetables every day. So these contain antioxidants and other phytochemicals and micronutrients that have anti-inflammatory effects. So when you're at the grocery store, be like, I want some red foods and some green fruits and vegetables and some orange fruits and vegetables and some purple fruits and vegetables. Like really, it's like think Skittles, but like fruit. Okay. And then of course, eat organically grown food. The fewer pesticides you put in your body, the less inflamed you're going to be. It's just the way it is. And then of course, reducing toxic burden with clean beauty and cleaning products. Kristen said, I have vegetable oil in my cabinet for baking, gonna swap it out. Oh, good, okay. I actually bake with avocado oil all the time. I feel like it's pretty mild. It doesn't have like a really big flavor profile, or even coconut oil. If you can do coconut oil, it's great for baking. Yeah, I use avocado oil all the time. Like if I'm making something that requires like oil. And it seems to be, no one has said before, like coconut oil, yeah, it's like a huge, like it's super flavorful, right? It's like super coconutty. My children don't really like the coconut oil taste either. So we definitely do more of a avocado oil and baked goods. It seems to work out. Try it and let me know how it goes. We've already talked about, what beauty products and cleaning products y'all are going to choose to focus on, swapping out for cleaner versions. And then there are eliminate infections, which you're all working on. So, you're going to be working on cleaning up your gut, getting some of those pathogenic organisms out of your body. Drink plenty of water. Water helps, is one of the big ways that our bodies, or proper hydration is one of the biggest ways our bodies get rid of toxins, reduces inflammation. Plenty of fiber. Fiber binds to toxins, helps your body eliminate them. Get good sleep. Sleep is when we heal, you guys. And then, of course, open up your detox pathways. So that's dry brushing, castor oil packs, rebounding, Epsom salt baths, sweating, sauna, red light therapy. So many great ways to open up your detox pathways. So lots of action steps here. And then you may think like, okay, what if I'm feeling super inflamed and I need something like to just bring the inflammation down? So, we can talk about some supplements here. Curcumin has been shown to benefit anti-inflammatory conditions. Boswellia has anti-inflammatory effects. Bakel skullcap has significant antioxidant effects. Astaxanthin is an antioxidant and it can protect cells from damage. And then there are proteolytic enzymes, which digest non-living tissue and inflammatory proteins, promote blood flow, and reduce pain and swelling. I have in my kind of toolbox, I've got curcumin and I've got boswellia. I do have a product that has skullcap in it. I don't know if it's called skullcap. I need to look and see if there's different kinds. I just actually recommended this astaxanthin for a client, one of my one-to-one clients whose C-reactive protein was crazy off the charts, which shows a massive amount of inflammation. I've never tried the proteolytic enzymes, but I want to. It's on my list to try. So there's just things that you can grab and have on hand. I use a very specific curcumin that has it's suspended. It's a liposomal, so it's suspended in fat, which helps your body absorb it and use it. So definitely, if you're going to do a curcumin, something liposomal, or make a like golden milk out of the herb, the powder, like adding fat to that curcumin is going to actually be a key to enabling your body to absorb and use it. So has anyone used any of these products? If you have, drop the name of what you have used and has benefited you in the chat. Let's going to wait in the chat for a second. Katrina says curcumin. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I mix mine in my morning coffee for a little something. It's bright yellow. Here's my coffee bright yellow. It's kind of a weird, it's kind of like a supernatural looking yellow color for my coffee, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that screen so I can see your beautiful faces again. There we are. There we are. So, okay. I would love you, for any of you who are able to, unmute yourself and tell me if you had any like specific ahas. You're like, oh, I haven't even thought about that, or you know, that's something I definitely like could work on, or like what was just, you know, pick one or two things that made you just think like, oh, I never considered that as a driver in my inflammation before. So unmute yourself, just go for it. Whoever wants to share, would love you free to share.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. Personal care products for me have always been like, la, 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 la. Like, I don't want to think about them, but I know what a difference cleaning up our home care products made, and actually how much better I feel about using them. So that's a prompt to do something good for my body. And you know,
well, and it can feel like, okay, so when it comes to personal care products and cleaning products, you're like, but I want something that works, right? And sometimes you can feel like the cleaner versions don't work as good as the ones full of like the chemicals and toxins. So it has to be about balance. And, you know, finding that balance of what actually does a decent job, but's not super toxic. It's kind of a learning curve and a learning process. And just like for deodorants, for example, like what works, like some people rave, oh, this deodorant is the best. And then it's like, you try it and you're like, it didn't work for me. Like, you know, it's a journey of trying different things. I mean, I have a deodorant graveyard in my bathroom. I'm like, nope, that one, nope, that one, nope. Okay. You know, and so it's again, it's not like all of a sudden you're not using any, you know, all your stuff is clean. Like that's not realistic, right? But just over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, start swapping things out, right? It's just making those swaps that's going to so it's like almost like a biohacking. So when you go through this program, right, you're doing an intensive lifestyle body balancing protocols, right? So you're not going to be in this program forever. So you might think like, well, what do I do when I'm done? So many things, because we're not going to expect you to change everything in 3 months or 6 months or even a year, right? So it's just a lifetime journey of making out these swaps, you know, making out food swaps, making out cleaning products, personal care product swaps, you know, balancing out your gut. You know, it's not something that you're going to do it once. I'm going to do it once. Jody, did you have anything you wanted to pop in and share?
I mean, I know sugar is bad. Like I've heard that so many times, but it is always interesting to think like it's more than just like, oh, you might like gain weight, like all the other things tied to eating sugar. Cause like I said, I was having my coffees like every morning, and it wasn't until I actually got my GI map back from you yesterday, Becca, that I was like, oh my gosh, like my coffee is like not helping me at all. It is only harming like all these other like side effects. I'm like, oh, I did not realize that could all just be stemming from like the amount of sugar I'm having in the morning. So this kind of like reiterated that, which I feel like a little silly. I'm just like told sugar is bad. That's it. Well, but I also didn't realize that the not like the natural ones were okay. I feel like yeah.
And it's not like, okay, you can go and drink a cup of maple syrup. I mean, as delicious as that sounds, because I literally love maple syrup. But it's, you know, have a little splash of maple syrup on your gluten-free pancake or whatever, right? It's not about never having sweet, delicious things. It's about swapping them out for items that are not going to like really drive your inflammation, right? It's about never having things that you enjoy. And sugar, you know, it's funny because I feel like when people, for the most part, losing weight isn't enough, or if like that's something you want to do, isn't enough of a motivator for people going off sugar. It's like what you just said. It's like, oh, this is doing all these internal things, driving inflammation, spiking blood sugar, imbalancing my hormones, feeding my bad guys. You know, that can be so eye-opening, because like oftentimes it's like, when it's just weight loss, you're like, screw it, I'm gonna eat that, right? Like, yeah. or like my coffee is more delicious than my weight loss, right? Like it's just like, you know, but when we think about all those other side effects of it, it can be more motivating.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, fine. I don't lose a few pounds because I want my coffee. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, like my headaches, my like fatigue, like my coffee's doing the reverse that it's supposed to be doing. So yeah.
Yes, good for you. See, and that's like that aha moment. Like if you think about it, sometimes we draw these lines in the sand with ourselves as we learn. There's that whole thing like you do what you know until you know better, and then you do better, right? Like, so now you know. And it's often those aha moments where you're like, huh, you know, maybe this isn't really worth it for me anymore. It's like when I had those stupid, delicious brownies on Father's Day. Like, I felt horrible the rest of the day and that night. And I was like, that was not worth it. Like, you have to decide, like, it's just not worth it for me anymore. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not, I'm a savory, salty girl. Like, I don't even know why I put them in my mouth because they were there. Whatever. We have self-control. So that is going to be like a line in the sand for you, right? And I'm excited. So I want you to just like tell me over time, like as you decrease your sugar intake, how much better you feel, because that's also going to be huge for blood sugar control. Huge. And for energy, it's like energy, mood, headache, sleep. Like it's all tied to blood sugar. So, oh, I'm excited for Toby. Makes me happy. Katrina, do you want to pop anything in the chat if you had any sort of like aha moment or something maybe on one of the slides that you hadn't really considered that could be driving inflammation? And if not, I know you're at work, so you might not be able to let us know there. But if you want to tell me later in the message, you can do that too. Oh, Katrina, oh yay, okay. Says, I think I want to continue to find and weed out sources of gluten. That's huge. That's huge because like literally gluten is one of the biggest drivers in inflammatory processes in our body. Let's see, I had done it a bit already, but hadn't thought about things like spices. Yeah, I even, I still read every label. It even is something I bought before. I literally still read the labels because sometimes they change the formulations, they change the ingredients. And I've popped, like, spices is huge. I've popped like a spice blend in my cart and then picked it back up and like, I need to read this because it seems like, oh, this wouldn't have gluten or cornstarch or whatever in it because I'm corn-free. And you read the label, you're like, why? Why is this in here? And then I put it back and then I get something else. But yeah, and you know, if you think about it, like if it's something too that you're using every day or multiple times a week on your food, you're just like poisoning yourself. And so you've got to, it's just like, I don't buy anything without reading the label. And it's surprising all the things they put gluten in. You're like, I don't know. I don't get it. Someday I'm gonna create my own line of yummy gluten-free things. Probably not, but it's one of those like, if I had another life to live, I'd probably do that. But that's okay. All right, so we have a few more minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and just stop the recording. We're gonna and then we're gonna see if anyone has any questions about anything else.